Today I'm going to be talking about something that I'm sure most everyone who clicks on this video already knows about. The Mech is a robot in the Fortnite Battle Royale game that is something that a lot of people really hate. Basically, it just makes it very hard to play the game if you're not in one of them, and it has multiple options to gain material, which you use to build, as well as one-shotting or taking a player from 100% health and shield to 0 in the span of half a second or less. So we're going to be going over some of the nerfs that the Mech just experienced from the Fortnite developer team 42 minutes ago today, and we're also going to go over and I'll explain why the Mech just needs to be removed from the game entirely instead of having nerfs done to it. So, as you can see, they've made several adjustments to the B.R.U.T E. These changes are now live, blah, blah. So they've also disabled the junk rift due to an audio issue for the tournaments and playlist, but I assume it's still in the normal game modes. Okay, so here's the part that's really important. Decrease the maximum amount of rockets fired by the B.R.U.T E in a single charge from 10 to 6. Decrease the rate at which rockets are fired from the B.R.U.T E by 56%. Okay, this is really good because obviously 10 rockets that each deal 50 damage is more than enough to kill multiple people, and it just does not make any sense, which is why the Mech just got so much hate from the community and pretty much everyone, from content creators to pros to your average person who just started playing. The other thing is the rate at which rockets is fired from the B.R.U.T E is lowered by half, so that's good. The radius of the B.R.U.T.'s explosion is lower. That's good too. There's often times in my own gameplay where I felt like I was hit by a rocket that shouldn't have hit me. It was just way far away from me, but it somehow managed to deal damage to me. They increased the dash cooldown, or the boost, where you can basically just launch through the air from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. That's good because if you're a person going against the B.R.U.T E, you literally you could shoot the B.R.U.T E obviously, right? But the problem is it had 1,000 health, and the person piloting the B.R.U.T E could just dash to you, and even if you had a launch pad or impulses, the cooldown's only 3 seconds, so they can just keep going straight towards you and killing you. Not with the stomp, not to mention the rockets or the shotgun shells that the B.R.U.T E has. So they decrease the velocity gain from boosting while in air by 33%. So obviously it's just going to be easier to get away from it, to kite it somewhat. And oh, this is a big thing. So the B.R.U.T E no longer grants materials to the driver and passenger when stomping or dashing through the environment. So this is actually a really big change, and it's great that they made this one. So if prior to this patch or this change, if you were in a B.R.U.T E or a Mech, as most people call it, you could literally just go up to houses, trees, anything in the environment that's breakable, and if you broke it, you and the driver and the gunner split the mats, or the driver just gained all of it if there's only one person in the B.R.U.T E. So you could very quickly stomp through and break through houses, trees, and basically get farm material a lot faster than a player who's just whacking at something with their pickaxe could. So if you're at the block right now, or any other POI which has a bunch of material built into it, you could just break all of that and get a bunch of material and have max mats, which is clearly unfair. And you could have that very early in the game. Okay, and honestly, this thing is really important because it's even more unfair, not just in these tournaments or these arena playlists because there's a cap on mats, but it's even more unfair towards players just going into normal games, because you could have 3,000 mats compared to someone who maybe was only able to farm 400 in the same amount of time, which is just inherently flawed. The next thing is they made it. Okay, so you're gonna see a lot of numbers. Basically, it just means that before there was a guaranteed number of brutes that would spawn during the storm phases. So in the first storm, there's guaranteed at least you're going to spawn 2. Um, in the storm phase 2, it's going to be the same. So in the new ones, there's going to be chances to basically spawn 0 instead of 2 or greater, which is good. I haven't looked into the analytics for this and done the math yet, but this seems like a decent change on this one at least. And they decreased the material cost of using the gunner's overshield. So there was an option if you're in the gunner seat to basically just shield and not be able to take the damage to overshield, and you wouldn't, because before you could shoot people in the head or in the body of the brute, and if you're hitting them, then they would take damage. But if you are in the gunner seat, you can overshield for 200 material to basically just not be able to get hit for a couple of seconds. I don't know the exact number. This isn't that great of a change because even though the brute isn't able to farm materials, which I understand, you still shouldn't make it just 75 material. That's just very low to basically be invincible for about 4 or 5 seconds, right? And they increased the health of the brute from 1,000 to 1,250 health. This is clearly a bad change. If you're okay, I understand where they're coming from. Oh, users of the brute need to play a bit more strategic now. But the problem is, if you're just increasing health and nerfing some of these other things, you're trying to fine tune it. And I'm just gonna go into why the brute needs to be removed. You know, Epic's made the case that brutes don't get that many kills in Fortnite in tournament modes or in skilled matchmaking or those kinds of things in tournaments or in arena. And they've shown us some numbers. I obviously don't know if those are true or not or where they got this information from. But here's what I do know. You have streamers and pro players and just average people saying, we don't want the brute in the game, please remove it. That's been going on for basically weeks now, ever since the start of the season when the brute was introduced. You know, game developers obviously need to listen to their people that play their game, because otherwise, if you don't listen to people who play the game, then those people will just leave the game, right? And that's clearly what's happening. If you go to twitch.tv, which is the site to stream, you can see in the categories, you'll see people who were long followers of Fortnite and played Fortnite, streamers, not playing Fortnite anymore or moving to other games. So if you go to the browse category, now it's the top one, but there were multiple days and weeks even where people just weren't playing Fortnite and were playing other games because they were so sick of it. People like Courage JD was playing Minecraft. People like Dr. Lupo, Booga, the current world champion, while he was hosted by Fortnite, were playing CS:GO because the game just isn't fun with those things with the brute in the game. And basically it rewards randomness, random luck to, and it also makes sure that the competitive aspect of the game is just almost null and void, because you have clips like Sam does, which I'll show shortly, where you can basically kill tens of people or dozens of people in the span of a couple of in the span of a 30-second clip, and they can't do anything to counterplay against that. And in those competitive environments, you can't just run at the brute. People will say, "Oh, just build to the brute and just shoot it," right? If you're in a lobby with 50 other people in the end circles, right? You can't just leave your base and start ramping, because you will get shot at by the other people in the game. It's not just a 1v1. That might be applicable in normal games, like in normal solo, duo, squad games, but that just doesn't happen in those more competitive game modes. So obviously this nerf was a good one, but the fact of the matter is the mech, the brute, whatever you want to call it, just needs to be removed from the game, because it doesn't make people want to play the game. It actively makes sure that people want to leave the game and have already left the game, and it basically just makes the community angry at the developers and the game Fortnite for doing this to them. And I'm just ranting here now, but basically what I'm trying to say is the mech needs to be removed from the game. You're going to see people continue to be angry at Epic for not removing the mech because they've clearly shown that they can, but Epic just doesn't want to do it, I assume, for their storyline purposes. But at the very least, they need to remove it from different game modes. If competitive game modes like arena and tournaments exist for the sake of competition, then you shouldn't have things like a mech which can destroy and kill multiple people in the span of a few seconds with little to no counterplay. You shouldn't have those available in the game in those competitive game modes. Okay, if you really want it for the story and you enjoy it for that, or it's something, there's some big plan that Epic has about it, whatever, leave it in that. But at the very least, listen to the competitive community that doesn't want the mech in the game, doesn't want it at the very least in their arena games, because these are people that are trying to become better at the game. They're trying to win money. They're trying to go pro. They're trying to become better than what they are right now in Fortnite. Let those people have that option to do so, and they aren't just exploded by a mech. So now I'm gonna show a couple clips of just what the mech is like. So if you've just been tired of me ranting, you can just see what it's like. So it's just epic. Remove the mech. This is good, but no, this is not enough.
What? Like, really? Like, this is actually in the game?
Don't fucking tell me there's a robot outside this goddamn building. Oh no. This game is so trash. This guy has 1 kill! Just lost a free win. No fucking way, bro. Bro, like, I just don't understand, bro.